up your engine! Now here's something you don't see every day. A Lotus. They're about as rare as hen's teeth, but they're very interesting cars. And you might think, an English sports car, how reliable could it be? Well, this is a 3.5 liter V6 engine. Strangely enough, here we have a Toyota Sienna van. Very dependable vehicle. Nobody argues that. And what's under the hood? Why, it's the same 3.5 liter Toyota V6 engine. And no one ever argued about the reliability of this engine. This one's a little bit different. It's got a supercharger on it. It also sounds a little bit different. Lotus has used various engines throughout their history. Get these from Toyota. They're highly modified, of course. This thing puts out almost twice the horsepower that the same engine does in this Toyota Sienna van, and the Lotus weighs about 1,800 pounds less than the van does. So it's got almost a ton less weight with twice the horsepower. So you can imagine it goes quite a bit faster. And it isn't just a case of looking faster. These things were designed for speed. Lotus was a driving machine. If you ever wondered what that little logo is for, well, the big C stands for Chapman. It was the man who started it, and those are his 4 names. He had 2 middle names for some odd reason. Now, Mr. Chapman started building these things in a stable. You know the English, give them a garden shed and they'll come out with an atomic bomb a couple months later. Well, this certainly is the bomb today. They don't make them in stables anymore, though. And of course, over the years, they never produced that many of these things, and the company was always on the verge of bankruptcy, like many English companies were. Well, now they're owned by Geely, the Chinese company. They own 51%, and a Malaysian company, the one that does the Proton, they own 49%. So it's certainly economically stable. And of course, the Chinese, in their wisdom, they decided to keep the Toyota engine. Extremely reliable. You can add a lot of boost to it if you want to, and it's not gonna fall apart. This particular one has 400 horsepower. Certainly it's not Steven Tyler's Lotus that Hennessy built for him just down the road from me when I used to live in Houston. When you drive this thing, as you'll soon see, 400 horsepower in a car this small, that low to the ground, an insane thing to drive around. With this 1,200 horsepower one, even Steven Tyler got traction control thrown in. And this one was purchased used for $56,000, worth about 3,500 miles on it, where Steven Tyler paid something like $1.3 million for his, including the LS1 Corvette engine that's in it. It's got a V8, it doesn't have a V6, but I'd say I'd have a lot more fun spending 56 grand on one than spending 1.3 million. After all, they both had the same basic chassis and everything on it. This just doesn't have a V8 engine in it. Now, when I was young, I used to ride around with a friend who had a Lotus, and we'd have fun beating the guys in the Mustangs, because even though the Mustangs had a ton more horsepower, back in those days, we didn't have this kind of money. They were 4-cylinder Lotuses. They could corner so much better than the Mustang, it couldn't even close up when you're on any kind of windy roads. Back then, they rode like go-karts. You would feel every bump on the road. And guess what mankind has done in the last 60 years? They figured out how to make sports cars that handle like mad, but actually ride quite well. Now, there is one thing that a Lotus has as its #1 enemy, and that is speed bumps. These are low to the ground driving machines. They're not made for going over speed bumps. You want to avoid them at all costs if you're driving a Lotus. People always say, oh, it's a sports car. It's an English sports car. It's going to cost a fortune to maintain this thing. Well, it's got a Toyota engine in it. It's a reasonably well-built vehicle, because it has to be. You can't build something that corners as well and goes that fast and make it cheap, or it will fall apart while you're driving it. And this does not fall apart while you drive it, unless you hit those speed bumps. And it may have supercar performance, but if you just are driving 75 miles an hour, you get 21 miles a gallon in this thing. It gets decent gas mileage. Of course, that's not why you buy it. You buy it to have fun. So let's take it for a spin. As I promised, we're going down a road, and I'm not having my teeth knocked out of my head by the ride. You would be surprised how well it rides when you're just cruising along. But it's in the twisties where these things are really fun. And when you open it up, you can tell it's got that sound to it. you swerve back and forth, this thing is so stable. It's unbelievable. It's made for driving on twisty roads, and of course racetracks if you're into that. It's got that sound. Now, who would have thought a Toyota engine could sound so good? And you might think, oh, a sports car doesn't have what I want. Well, guess what? It's got air conditioning. It's got power windows. It's got anti-theft devices. Hey, this is high tech. This isn't some old English thing made in a stable like the original Lotus. No, it used to have a back seat. He took it out. You can see it still has the headrest. As you can see from the lack of room, the only people that are going to be sitting in the back seats would generally be two-dimensional cutouts of people in cardboard form. Now, the owner of this Lotus was a very smart man. Did he buy it new? No, he bought it with a very tiny amount of mileage on it for about half price. Instead of paying 100 grand, he paid 50. And when you think about it, the first owner took the big loss. As this thing stands, he takes care of it, garages it away. It'll probably stay where it is, and over time probably go up somewhat. When you consider you get something that is this unique and this fun to drive for only $50,000, you can't beat that. Price out what you're gonna get for a new car and $50,000. And unlike the supercar, Ferraris and all of that, these are not maintenance hogs. Even a Porsche 911, of which a brand new 911 is pretty much equivalent price-wise. They're both about 100 grand. Go to a Porsche dealer and see how much it costs to maintain them. And you have to, or they fall apart, because it's Porsche German technology. There is a gigantic advantage of having a Toyota engine in a supercar. The reliability is built in, which case most of the supercars, the insane cost of ownership is built in, and you find it every time you take it in, and it's $2,000 for this, $4,000 for that. Not the case in this thing. And let's face it, this thing has the look. It still has classic Lotus lines to it. As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't look like a Transformer model like all those Ferraris do. Plus, if you live where I used to live, next to River Oaks in Houston, Ferraris are a dime a dozen. Look around for Lotuses. You're not going to see that many of them around. So now you know a little bit more about Lotuses. How they've got Toyota technology, and they're now owned by the Chinese, but they still handle like the old Lotuses, which is how they got their name and fame. And here's some bonus questions and answers. All right, the 2022 Ford Maverick is almost there. There's some spy shots, as you can see. Of course, it really has nothing to do with the old Ford Maverick, which was based on a Ford Falcon. It was like the cheap man's Mustang. I had one. It was a fun car. Paid $550 for it. Drove it for ages, then sold it for $500 later on. As you can see, it's a pickup truck. It's a four-door pickup truck, so it can fit 4 people. They wanted that, but that made the bed short. It's got a very short bed, probably. Now, the Ranger, which is a smaller truck, is a 61-inch bed. Judging by these pictures, people are guessing this one probably has a 42-inch bed. It's a smaller pickup, but not too small. It's only a few inches shorter than the Ford Ranger. And nobody knows what they're actually going to do, but judging by what they've done in the past, they're probably going to put all those 4-cylinder engines in it. And to me, those EcoBoost 4-cylinder engines, they have a very, very, very bad track record. If I was Ford, hey, you know guys are going to want to put V8s in them, but at least put a V6 engine in it. Those 4-cylinder engines, they have a history of problem, the GDI turbo ones. If you do that, Ford, let me tell you, I think you're making a big mistake. People want something that's dependable, not something that's going to break down and not hold up. That's the whole point of a pickup truck. Why do you think Toyota Tacomas, they're smaller pickup trucks, the bee's knees, everybody wants them because they can go 3, 4, 500,000 miles without the engines or transmissions blowing up. Putting a small 4-cylinder Ford turbo in it, if they do, personally, I think it's a big mistake. Bad enough that they're calling them Mavericks and they're trucks, not cars. But if they don't have anything to do with the Mavericks, which either had a 6-cylinder engine or a V8 engine in it, then you're just using the name only and have nothing to do with anything other than the name. Now, it's not going to be launched until early 2022. So, it's going to be a while before it comes out. And that's even with COVID stuff going on. It may not. But you get an idea what it looks like. They definitely have it planned out. Let's just hope that they don't put a bunch of little bitty 4-cylinder turbocharged engines in them that will break as time goes on. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.